Let me show you a few more things about multiplying decimals. When we multiply decimals, you already know that if we have something like 43.4 times 1.2, we multiply as usual. 4 times 2 is 8. Well, this 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. Then we put an X or a 0 here to hold our place value. And then we'd multiply 1 times each of these. So we just get 434 here. We add them. 8, 10, 12, 5. Now, we know that we look for the number of digits after the decimal in our problem. 1, 2. 2 digits after the decimal. So I need, if there are 2 digits after the decimal in my problem, I need 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I can either underline them and know that I put it here, or I start at the end and go 1, 2 spaces. This is where I put my decimal. You know what I see people do all the time? They get mixed up with addition and subtraction. They see that these are lined up on the ones where it works that way when you write them down, and they just bring that decimal right here. That's wrong. Be really careful. Make sure you always count the number of decimals you're going to need in your answer. Now let me show you another one that can be tricky for people sometimes. Sometimes you'll see something written like this. 3.7 times 15.21. Let me show you some things I see people do that make this problem more difficult. First of all, I see people write it like this. 3.7 times 15.21. Now, you can certainly do it that way. You can multiply this 1 times everything up here, and then the 2 times everything up here, and then the 5, and then the 1. But it's really easier to write it like this. And because we can multiply in either order. So go ahead and multiply this 15.21 times 3.7. Put the smaller number on the bottom. That's easier. And then we could multiply, and 7 times 1 is 7 plus 3 is 10. And then the bottom number, I put an X or a 0, whichever you like to do. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 5 is 15, and carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1, so that's going to be 4. Then I'll add it. 7, 7, 12, 6, and 5. Now, remember, we find our answer this way. 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal in my problem. 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal in my answer. Now, here's one that tricks people a lot of the time, and that is if you have something like this, 0.04 times 0.08. Stop and try to do that one really quickly. Okay, some people say 0.32, or because they multiply 4 times 8 and get 32. But let's look at why this is wrong. If you multiplied like this, and you don't even have to write it out to be able to do this. You can do it in your head still as long as you do your decimals right. 8 times 4 is 32. Now, we don't have to write these zeros. I could write, because this one's 8 times 4 is 32, and I'm technically carrying my 3, so 8 times 0 plus 3 would give me 32. And then some people, what I'll see them do is, I'll see them do this. They will do zeros. They'll put an X here, and then 0, and then 0. Now, that's not really necessary. You can tell without multiplying this 0 that all of that is 0. Okay? So we don't need to do an extra step there. But look carefully at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 digits after the decimal place in your problem. So I need 4 digits after the decimal place. And this is why I usually kind of swoop back like this instead of always underlining, because what a lot of people will make the mistake of, we don't want to add 2 more zeros here. We want to put zeros before it. So we came up with an answer when we multiplied without worrying about the decimals. We came up with an answer of 32. So if I had just the number 32, where's the decimal for that? It's right here. Because you don't have to write that, because 32 is the same as 32.0 or 32.00. So this is where I start. And when I move back to get 1, 2, 3, 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, I get 0.0032.